is Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement or how to buy consulting services. You'll get tips on how to use consulting, buy consulting, and managing the consulting. And now your host, Ellen Lafitte.
Hello and welcome back to Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement. I am Ellen, and you know what? It feels like it's been ages since we last uploaded a podcast. And now here we are back in the game after the holidays. So I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas and I wish you all a very happy new year. But before we continue from here where we left off, let me give you guys a small recap from our previous 6-level series episode, which was published last year. So costs have always been a touchy topic when it comes to consulting projects. Sure, you can pour loads of cash into a project expecting results, yet too often we find that money alone won't get us far. So many companies that I work with tell me, it's okay, we have enough budget for consulting. We know it is strategic, so we don't really care about how much we spend. Really? I mean, when you buy a car, are you okay buying whatever fancy car and pay 50% more than you should? Just because you have a good salary? No, you're not okay with that, right? Because unless you need that you want a fancy car, which is very respectable, don't get me wrong, you probably don't need one. And maybe you can't have one. So see, even if you're focused on value, you should keep an eye on the cost. And the bonus effect, it will help you improve your ROI. Isn't it marvelous? So this is what was our previous episode about. So if you want to learn more about how to control your consulting costs, please watch our previous episode. And for those watching on YouTube, click on the info card on the screen. Follow us on YouTube and any other major streaming platform for more information like this. And if at any point you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. So that is where we took a break. And now let's jump onto today's topic, which is partner with your consulting suppliers. So your consulting suppliers are the unsung heroes when it comes to getting the all-important ROI. But have you ever wondered what exactly gets them there? So let's dig deeper into partnering with your consulting supplier, which is our 5th lever to optimize the ROI of your consulting spend. Building relationships is essential to any successful business, especially when it comes to consulting suppliers or strategy consulting suppliers. Working with the right suppliers can make all the difference when trying to build an intimate connection and long-term success. Because at the end of the day, we are people. We buy from people, we sell to people, and having those intimate connections will be beneficial, and it's particularly true for consulting. So talking about the suppliers list, this is no age-old saying, fail to plan, plan to fail. And it may well apply to companies that work with the same suppliers year after year. So there are multiple ways to anticipate future needs, and yet so many companies fail to invest a small bit of effort into pre-season planning, and it ends up costing them greater sums down the road. But we all love our businesses to run like a well-oiled machine, and supplier management is one of the key components. After all, you don't want that crucial chain link breaking. Make sure your procurement team has got it down pat, understanding which suppliers are vital for keeping things going smoothly, as well as any risk involved in relying on them too much. Manage those links carefully. They could be what keeps your business chugging along at peak performance, right? So planning ahead and making sure you've got a dynamic list that can grow and change with your needs, and money will be saved in the long run. Controlling expenditure, obtaining the best agreement, and limiting risk may be time-consuming and challenging if your organization has a lot of suppliers. But keeping a preferred list on hand will make sure this procedure is more effective and clear. So let me brief you about a few of the benefits of having a list of preferred suppliers, right? It helps in making effective business decisions. You should increase your company's access to supplier information and make purchasing easier for your internal stakeholders. The simplest approach to do this is to employ a digital sourcing system that links internal and external parties and delivers current and relevant data for decision-making. So it will also ensure that your vendors provide the highest value for your organization in terms of pricing, quality, economic stability, and contract performance. Because you will be buying from your preferred suppliers, your bargaining power will increase, allowing you to negotiate better pricings and save costs. So besides, purchasing products and services can take time, especially if you have to go through a bidding process, collect quotes from potential vendors, and negotiate contract conditions, right? But if you can go directly to discussing the scope and the price, your internal stakeholders will save a lot of time. And instead of drowning into administrative work, they will be able to focus on their principal function, and so will procurement. So in fact, having a preferred supplier list gives you more control over how consulting is procured and delivered. So building ties with these vendors promotes responsibility and raises the likelihood of receiving better service. Communication will also be improved, lowering the likelihood of misunderstanding. So in short, having a list of preferred providers is a positive step towards more maturity. And it has to start with evaluating your present suppliers and determining your major spend categories in consulting. But this is just looking at the past. In order to be a dynamic preferred supplier list, you need to look at the future needs. You need to anticipate it. And it means listening to your internal stakeholders and translate their future needs into requirements. Maybe you have the needs covered from your existing list, but most probably you don't. And now is the right time to go and look for the right consulting firms and allow yourself to explore niche and boutique consulting firms. And now using a digital sourcing solution to manage your preferred suppliers guarantees you have access to reliable supplier data, allowing your end users to make educated decisions to maximize ROI. And if you treat your consulting suppliers as a commodity to be purchased and haggled over, you're doing yourself a disservice. Engaging with your consultants is crucial. First, intimacy in consulting is usually an accelerator for a project. Keeping your consultants close will make sure they understand your needs. They'll almost plug and play, if you will. And that will help you launch projects faster. Besides, if they know your situation and you're a good client, they will definitely be more willing to make concessions on the price if you offer more visibility, of course. So the problem is that in many organizations, consulting is bought directly by the end user, and the procurement arrives at best at the negotiation phase. But building a relationship with strategic consulting suppliers is no easy feat. It's actually a job in itself, and one that requires both experience and the right set of skills. And the consequences of not doing this can be huge. When there's no relationship built, you're forced to rely on personal feelings and make decisions based more on subjectivity rather than knowledge. In short, building a successful relationship with your suppliers may sound like a breeze, but is actually more of an art than science. It takes skill and experience to achieve the perfect balance between expectations and negotiation. And if you can establish trustful relationship with strategic consulting suppliers and pay attention to the conditions of success, you're in for smoother selling when trying to hit your strategic goals. The thing is, procurement is often sidelined to administrative tasks such as contract management, purchase orders, and payments. And unfortunately, this often leads to poor supplier management, since the lack of experience and knowledge causes strategic misconception and subpar results. But there is so much more they can bring to the table: spend management, performance management, PSRs, risk assessments, and so on. So take advantage of their skills and experience and invest both time and resources into understanding supplier needs in order to reach optimal solutions. So to capture the value from your projects and keep your cost under control, you need to reach a higher maturity in consulting procurement. And it's quite rare to reach it without having an experienced procurement team in the game, because procurement is so much more than just shopping around for the best deals. Let's explore how they bring savvy savings and smart strategy to keep any organization on top of their game? Well, firstly, it's obviously spend management, which isn't just a buzzword at the office. It's an invaluable tool that procurement can bring to the table. Whether you're running a small business or large enterprise, having someone dedicated to spend management can pay big dividends over time. So reduce weight, control cost, and improve efficiency. Why wouldn't you put spend management into your wheelhouse, right? Don't take my word for it. Give procurement a chance and see how much better spend management can make your business run. And yes, it works for consulting as well. So next thing is supplier management. And it's an essential part of a good procurement process. The idea is to measure the performance of your suppliers in order to identify which ones are good, so that you can either out the people that are way too low or build an improvement plan with the others, so that you engage in the relationship or developing them. So sometimes those suppliers are not very far from the right level, or very bluntly, you need them because their skills are unique, right? And there are some industries like automotive and aerospace that invest heavily in a range of strategy and technology to develop their suppliers. So the same mindset can be applied with consulting suppliers. Sometimes the gap between a good relationship and a great relationship can be filled with just a tiny bit of elbow grease, right? So, and with that, let's not forget about the fact that procurement can be incredibly helpful when it comes to implementing supplier relationship management, which is part of good category management practices, right? And then SRM is best suited for the improvements in supplier performance, internal client relationship, supplier relationship, and visibility on spending. So like any other category, supplier relationship management it's a huge topic for consulting services. The way procurement manages consulting providers should fit in the overall SRM practices for the company. But procurement can really make a lot of value by identifying your PSL, measuring their performance, developing an improvement plan, managing the relationship, and leveraging consultants' insight. So I've already talked about SRM practices in our previous Smart Consulting Sourcing episode. And I even had an interview on the same topic in Procurement Game Changer. So I'll put the links of those episodes down in the description, and feel free to check them out. So last but not least, we have risk assessment, which is an integral part of the procurement process and brings a lot to the table too. Not only can it help you ensure that you get what you want, when you want it, within budget, but even can help you identify any potential risks before making a final purchase decision. So risk assessment is something we often take for granted in procurement, but it's nothing short of essential and can certainly give us peace of mind when making such important decisions. So a few things that procurement can help out are conflict of interest, right? Reference checking, compliance with the local laws, economic stability, etc. So to conclude that topic, partnering with your consulting suppliers is an important lever to optimize return on investment for consulting. And we all know the hustle and bustle of the corporate world. Every company is striving to get ahead in their industry and being seen as a leader in their field. And you want to maximize the ROI of your consulting spend. And you know what? The best way to do this is by partnering with your consulting suppliers. But what does this mean for you? Well, it means improved communication, increased bargaining power, better control over expenditure, more efficient use of your money and resources. Essentially, an optimization of the ROI when it comes to consulting spend. So how to get started? That's where procurement teams come into play. They are essential members of your business that manage relationship between your organization and your suppliers so that maximum impact is achieved during projects. And investing in building up your team's skill set can help you build trustful relationship with strategic consultants, which often leads to better prices from them. And who wouldn't want that, right? And also, let's not forget practices like spend management and supplier relationship management, which bring savvy, savings, and smart strategies, as well as risk assessment, which ensure peace of mind when working with external partners or vendors within your organization. And yes, it applies to consulting too. So at the end of the day, don't forget partnering with consulting suppliers can be a powerful tool if used correctly. So make sure you get it right. And if you have doubt or struggle, well, I hope that you know that you can just come and ask us at Consulting Quest. So thank you for listening. That was the end of our podcast. So keep an eye up for me next week when I return with another fascinating topic, right? So till then, stay safe and happy sourcing. And if you have any question regarding today's topic, remember you can always contact me directly on LinkedIn or by email because I'm always game for a chat. Bye and see you next week. Au revoir.
You've been listening to Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hit the website at consultingquest.com. Find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. For questions and comments, send an email to ellen.lafitte@consultingquest.com. See you next time.